So my name is Yastelle. I was born in South Africa, but I've been based in Brisbane over the last 16 odd years. I was fortunate. I grew up in Krishna consciousness. Both my parents actually met Srila Prabhupada in South Africa in 1975. So in Krishna consciousness, I'm a big fan of keeping things very simple. I was exposed to so many wonderful devotees from when I was a kid, and something that attracted me a lot is how simple the devotees kept Krishna consciousness. There's a very famous verse, Bhagavad Gita, Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam. It talks about that devotional service should be joyfully performed, susukam kartamabhyam. And so by definition, I always thought that if you're not having fun, you're doing something wrong. So I always kept things simple, and for me these days that means I find the basics of Krishna consciousness so complete. So whether that's on a typical basis, that's chanting, japa, that's reading Srila Prabhupada's books, trying to preach to a Western audience mainly. I feel a strong connection with Prabhupada's instruction in this regard to, as he received from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, to preach in English to the Western world. And somehow I find myself in this position, with a Western education, even though I'm Indian background, few generations gone by, but I feel attracted to this aspect of Krishna consciousness, preaching field. That also includes Harinama Sankirtan, which I also find so much joy in. For me, Harinama Sankirtan is so complete. Everything there is to know in Krishna consciousness is contained within Harinama Sankirtan. And the thing that first attracted me was, I have these memories, etched in my mind of devotees, especially in the early days when I was growing up, that devotees' faces were just glowing. They were dressed very simply. In one sense, they had nothing, but they had everything. And I could see, like the way they would carry themselves, these devotees, the way they would speak about Krishna, and the way they would perform about Harinam. It just made me, drawn towards them. And so with Harinam, I just find it, it's so complete. Everything is there. Philosophy is there. The association of devotees are there. As I find for myself, I delve deeper into this process of Harinam Sankirtan. I can feel the association of our acharyas, our parampara, Krishna's presence. And when you have something so valuable, and you give it to others, it almost increases in worth. So, I remember being told once by one devotee when I was a kid that if it's your birthday and you just have a birthday cake, and it's just you at home, then you can enjoy it to a certain extent. But if you have all your friends, if you have your family, if you have everyone around, that experience becomes so much more enjoyable. So in similar way, this Sankirtan, or this process, is like the sweetest of all sweet cakes. And so when you share it with others, it becomes better for the devotees, it becomes better for your friends, it's even better for the maker of the cake. So I just find it so complete. There's everything is contained within this Sankirtan. And if I can, it's more experiential though. Right? I can probably harp on different things that I feel through Sankirtan, but I think just doing it, realizations are ever fresh. Every day you get something. yes, there's a part of me that's always like any excuse for some Harinam. And so I just, I tried it, and actually there's such a thrill, at this event, for not just the preaching aspect, but also for devotees. There's a thrill with being an association of devotees, all eager to distribute the holy name. There's a thrill. There's a thrill when these kids from Schoolies are chanting back.
Can you say Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
I always think that these kids are practically chanting for the first time in their lives, for the most part, and it's not a small thing, like they're shouting the holy name often louder than in the temples, and so many, you don't know, but maybe so many lifetimes have brought them to that single point, and you sort of almost have this privilege of sharing the holy name with them at this point. And back to this point of how complete Harinam is, you also feel so small, like when these people are just chanting the holy name, you just feel so insignificant, and you just realize, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu are in charge, Srila Prabhupada's in charge, and the fact that even I am afforded some opportunity, to be a part of this, like, despite, my faults, despite my disqualifications, somehow, they're also allowing me, and I feel it's a privilege, it's a privilege every time you step out on the streets, Schoolies is exciting, but Harinam in general, Sankirtan in general, I find, so exciting. Yeah, I think it's an interesting one, because in one sense, maybe they're chanting the holy name for a few minutes, they may go on and they do their own thing. But for myself, I just have full faith in Srila Prabhupada's advice. Srila Prabhupada is saying, do this, okay, fine, we'll do it. Yes, Prabhupada, anything for you. And later on, we may or may not get to hear different stories or miracles or things like that, but the success for me is in the endeavor. And I think it's a misnomer to be result dependent. So I'm not sure what will happen, but I'm sure that the seed of devotion is sown into their hearts. They will always have a favorable experience of the devotees. They're at that important juncture in their lives where they'll go on to studies, before you know it they'll be married, before you know it there'll be kids, maybe many of them will have some positions in society, or everyone may go their own path, but I just feel somewhere along the line they'll always have this connection with the holy name, with the devotees, and there'll never be any loss. So Krishna, I feel, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada, for each and every person will have a special plan laid out. And yeah, when the time comes, we may get to see it. We may or may not get to see it, but I have full faith that Srila Prabhupada's taken care of every single one of them. Well, I feel this week of Schoolies is almost like it's like a journey for devotees also. When I first started Harinama, you're still in that mindset of work, and so it's a little tricky to sort of click into gear, because you're so conditioned to your normal life. But then as the days progress, slowly you find yourself also, I'm not say improving as a devotee, but I think very sort of objectively you feel like you're making some progress in your spiritual life, because like I said, you start from this point, maybe another day or two in, you kind of maybe focus on melodies or mantras, or the sort of thrill of people shouting the holy name while you shouting back. But just this process, this week-long process, gets you to a stage where eventually you're absolutely spent. You don't have anything left. All these sort of barriers, these thoughts in your mind have all dropped, and somehow you find yourself surrendered to Srila Prabhupada, because everything is out of your control. Your body is done. You've tried everything, and but it's this holy name that has slowly kind of, we say cleanse the heart, but it's doing even more than that. It's just peeling off layers and layers of conditioning, and so I find that really rewarding. Like it's Schoolies, but it's also a festival for the devotees. It's very much, and the devotees are there all the time, picking you up, and also keeping you in check sometimes, but it's, and I appreciate that, I think, we need help. Everyone needs help on this path of devotional service. You can't do it alone. And the Harinam devotees, I think by definition, always the most compassionate, the most forgiving, the most tolerant, the sweetest of them all. And for me, I find it the safest place to be. So home is where the Harinam is. So don't come for Schoolies Harinam. Don't come. You may just become a better devotee. You may just get attached to the holy name. You may just get attached to Harinam Sankirtan. So it's a very cautious exercise. So just be careful. I'm warning all of you. Try it at your own peril. But if you do, I can just say, expect the unexpected.